Tabletop Stimulator. With your hosts,
Dan
and
Jim
and me, Herr Sean Spieler. Hello, this is Sean.
Hello, this is Dan.
and I'm Jim.
Yay!
Intro
done. Woo! Okay, so we're going to talk about the Ultramarines movie.
And I remember most of it.
I remember a fair bit of it.
Okay.
So have you got a structure for how we're going to talk about this?
Let's talk about the end.
Why don't we start at the beginning?
Why don't we start with... You've both seen this film previously.
Yes.
Right, it was my first time seeing it.
I probably hadn't seen it for at least 10 years, maybe, well, probably 15, 20 years.
Okay, so it's the Ultramarine movie.
It's not even been out that long.
It came out in 2010.
Whenever it came out. Yeah.
2010.
Warhammer 40k, the Ultramarine movie, or something along those lines. It was the first, and I think so far the only Warhammer feature film. Don't think another one.
That wasn't just like a fan short.
Yeah, like actually
An actual sanctioned
Games
yeah.
Workshop licensed proper
Film.
written by Dan Abnett.
It was.
Now, I just want to say, I was told after this film came out that Dan Abnett was really ill when he wrote this. So I just want to apply that now.
Yeah.
And then when we, it might become relevant later.
Okay.
Yep.
Also, Dan Abnett has said in interviews that he thinks him being asked to write it was strange. He wasn't the right person to do it.
He doesn't actually write that sort of stuff.
Graham McNeil would have been a better screenwriter than he was.
And also, Graham McNeil is the guy that wrote all the Ultramarines books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did not have a heavy cold at the time.
Yeah. So before we... He went the Stephen King method of writing. He did it, knocked out in a weekend. He doesn't remember writing it.
No.
And also, people went into his house and like, when was it snowing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I also wrote this Cujo. So
anyway,
I'll give a quick plot summary for the film. You're following a squad of Ultramarines.
Raw Ultramarines.
Raw, but a couple of them look like they've got liver spots.
I know that's the guy that Terrence Stamp plays. He has got liver spots.
So they're responding to a distress signal from an Imperial fist-held relic world, and you're kind of just following this squad in what happens in that adventure without giving too much away, although there will be plenty of spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, watch the film. It's only 70 minutes long, and then listen to this. And in the future, we'll do a commentary on it. We're not going to do that today, but in the future, I think we will.
Yeah, I think in a couple of months' time, that would be good to do.
Yeah, we'll sit down and go through it.
Some time ahead of it.
Yeah, and we'll watch it through in just one bang and record a commentary of our thoughts scene by scene.
Mm-hmm. So you can watch along with us.
Yeah.
And you could join in the conversation, but we won't respond.
No, we won't. We won't respond.
We're too good for that.
Yeah. But you could come here and watch it on your phone while listening to it on your phone with headphones and buy food here. Yeah, that'll work.
And other stuff as well. You don't just have to buy food.
Well, I'm just thinking, food and drink. Okay, beverages. While they're being entertained by us, they're also contributing.
Yeah, actually, I think as a sort of thank you to our listeners, anyone who comes down and listens to it here with their headphones in and, is clearly enjoying that episode whenever it gets done, I will frown at you and wonder what the hell you're doing.
Why are you sat with headphones on, joining in with the community?
Why is there 6 of you sat there not talking to each other, all with headphones on?
This isn't
6 is a push. There's not that many of them.
This isn't a family gathering.
We don't
Put your
have that many
phones down.
listeners.
I've written a quick summary of the film, not to give away any scenes, but you pretty much have briefing, them landing on a planet, them walking, them discovering something, them walking, them being ambushed, them walking, them being ambushed again, meeting some other characters, walking, ambush, they're mixing it up, now they fly instead of walk, and then they get ambushed, and then it ends.
You've forgotten one key thing.
Did you watch the ambush at the end of the credit scene?
Post-credit ambush.
Full Marvel style.
Yeah.
It's just someone flicking over a space marine on a table. The dust. You forgot that everything is shrouded in dust.
There's a lot of dust.
There's a lot of dust.
There's a lot of dust.
Because it's cheap. Dust is cheap.
So before I do have some fact trivia for about the film, but I'll bring that in
when it's relevant. Yeah,
when it's relevant.
Okay.
What did you think of the film?
Overall, Do you want to know now, or do you want to know like this time round, or do you want to know what I thought of it the first time I saw it, which was back in my youth?
Okay, in your youth,
In my youth,
the unwise Jim. What did you think of it?
It came out not around the time of Dawn of War 2, I think, or Dawn of War 1 was out at least. So these are computer games that were quite popular at the time. And from a visual point of view, it looked crap in comparison to the cinematics from those games. Mm-hmm. The story... Okay, so now, right, I'm trying to think about how to break this down without just sounding like I hated it. Well, I did hate it when it first came out. I was really disappointed, and it was actually in the cinema. It came out in the cinema. Not many cinemas, but Odeon Western had it.
Okay.
So, and it was only, I think it was only on for like a couple of days or something like that. Couple of showings, but
they wanted to make sure they met the requirement to be considered for an Oscar.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they were considered, yeah, but they didn't get.
They made the long list.
Yeah, which was the list of every film that came out.
Ever made. Yeah, it's called IMDb
now. So I think when it came out, most people who saw it were disappointed. Although it was okay, but you know, it was like visually not up to the standards of the time, and the story was a bit limp. But I think it's aged really well.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because nowadays you can watch something, or you can play a game, or you can watch something like that. It's like a computer game, obviously, where the visuals are out of date, but you kind of accept it because it's old. And I think actually that's made the visuals, for me, like, I don't care that, you know, the proportions don't make sense, and the movements are really weird, and like the light is wrong, and they've all got really weird faces and all that kind of stuff.
Well, they did use. So I've been reading. I've read up on.
Dan's on Wikipedia now.
So genuinely, right? So they used image metrics, which animated the facials, and it's the same stuff they used in Grand Theft Auto 4, Assassin's Creed 2, and NBA 2K10.
Yeah. So the mouth basically moved up and down. That was
was Assassin's Creed 2 the one where the eyeballs were like outside of the skull in that one?
I think so. I think it looked like buggy when it came out.
That didn't happen in the film.
No, it didn't.
Not well, apart from in some of the fight scenes, maybe. Yeah.
Some of that.
So my originally years ago, I watched it once and was really disappointed. However, having watched it in my dotage, and I think it was better than, it was more entertaining than Pariah Nexus. Like if you had Pariah Nexus visuals and sounds except for the footsteps added onto this, like layered over the top, it would have been better than Pariah Nexus. Yeah. So what was your thoughts on it?
Well, I thought, because I'd heard this was a really bad film. I hadn't seen it. I didn't even know it existed until late last year. And then I watched it and I thought, that wasn't that bad. But my expectation was so low.
It's not a blockbuster.
It's definitely not a blockbuster. One of the things I noticed, what we commented on in Pariah Nexus, is that there's almost like a gameplay route they take. It's very linear. They've always got these like pathways they can go in between the rubble and stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't have the ability to move through terrain.
No,
there's no line of sight blocking. It's everything's cool.
And during the many walking scenes of this film, many walking scenes, you do see them climbing onto broken statues and jumping down, and they
jump a bridge, don't they?
Yeah, they jump a bridge. They jump
for like 500 miles across a bridge.
Yeah, they do like Hulk jumps. But it was like, okay, look, they're doing something a little bit more visually interesting. The sound, like for the bolt fire, was good, and I know we say it's always good now, but obviously this came out 13 years ago, so that side of things was pretty good. The footsteps were not intruding.
They were there, but there were points where the footsteps were really noticeable, but they were there to set the scene. They weren't there constant.
They kind of felt reflective of the surface they were in. So when they were walking along a hallway, it was noisy. But when they were just in the desert, you didn't really. You heard like a more of a ground of sand rather than a chunk. But yeah, I see there was definitely some weaknesses in the story. There was definitely, I feel, a case of several actors who had no idea what they're reading about and were just reading the script out, and it
I think
felt really weird.
So a lot of those actors have been in a lot of films together.
Yeah.
And I think some of them were really into Warhammer and they wanted to do it. I think...
probably not Terrence Stamp.
No, I think Terrence Stamp, the closest he ever got to Games Workshop was he accidentally walked past one.
Well, because he lives in, I think, LA now.
Yeah.
And he probably recorded his lines from LA And they probably said, Terence, not Sir Terence, I don't think he's got a knighthood.
He's not Sir Terence.
Can you read this? And it was just like, and then we are going to rescue our brothers. The Imperial Fists.
yeah.
So, yes.
See, the break is actually like a fraction of a second, but it's just long enough.
Just long enough.
Just long enough.
Just uncomfortable. Sean Pertwee. Yeah. Alfred in Gotham. He was fine. He did a good job. John Hurt did fine. He does the intro at the beginning, which, unlike Prior Nexus, they set the scene. They tell you what the universe is, what it's all about.
Oh, this is just... So, this is a tangent. We're not going to talk about it much, but this is a future episode. I watched Rebel Moon, which is the Netflix, not Star Wars film.
I need to watch it.
And it starts with a 20-minute long voice prologue, where it's just like, and this is the Empire, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, exposition.
And it's just like, and it's just like, anyway, Karen.
Is it like the opposite? It's the opposite.
It's not good. It's trying to inform you, but it's just like, here's loads of shit that we read from other films and books, and we've chucked it all together. Anyway, carry on.
I thought it was fine. Actually, I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it how you enjoy a bad film.
I think it's good with friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not like, I want to sit down and watch something really entertaining on my own. It's not that sort of film. It's something where you need to have people that you can laugh at it with. What did you think of it? And what did you think of it when you first saw it?
When I first saw it, I thought it was dreadful. I thought it was poor. I didn't like it. However, having now read a Games Workshop rulebook, I thought it was amazing. Second time I watched it, it was much better flow. It was easy to understand. I actually really enjoyed it the second time. First time I watched it on my own. Second time I watched it with you guys, and it was funny, right? Because pointing out the flaws in some of the stuff. But I did actually think the story was reasonably good. But I think if it was made now, it's a 45-minute or half an hour episode that's in a series of episodes about the adventures of this squad of Space Marines. Because it all seemed a little bit truncated, but it was alright. I mean, the animation was jarring. You could probably do better now with Blender on a bloody laptop in the back of a car.
AI to do it.
But it was. I mean, it's not bad. It's of its age. It's nearly 14 years old.
I'd say it's of probably 5 to 10 years earlier.
It's of an age.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
But that's why it works now, because it's not just come out and everyone's gone, oh my god.
But I mean, when you think of the cast they got, the fact that it probably didn't even make back what they paid them to speak the words.
I don't think it did, no.
No. I checked on Wikipedia.
Fact trivia.
250.
Whoa.
Ding, 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 ding.
Fact
Trivia.
Okay, so it's obviously very difficult to find out any financial information about anything Games Workshop does.
I think we should stop the conversation here. I haven't. Just gonna say, I do not represent the Games Bunker during this podcast.
There's a man with a briefcase at the door banging.
Stop. They put me in cuffs.
So it's estimated that it cost $5.5 million to make.
That's insane.
Wow, that's less than an episode of anything now.
Yeah, and
Teletubbies, it was £1 million an episode.
And while they said it was
joking?
No, sorry, Night Garden.
Oh,
It was £1 million
Garden,
an episode.
right.
So yeah, $5.5 million. It was this company, Codex Pictures, which went out of business not long after the film came out.
Yeah,
we'll go into that. They went to Games Workshop and they said, "We've raised a load of money. We want to make a Games Workshop film." Mm-hmm. And
Games Workshop said, "We'll take that money. Thank
you."
Yeah,
they said, "Oh, you've raised it all yourself. Okay, why not? We'd like you to make a film." So I don't know what they paid the actors. Probably a big chunk of that $5.5 million.
This is why I think the actors were kind of in on it, like because they're a group that have been in like Dog Soldiers and a few other films like that together.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And I think that one or two of them knew the people who were making it, and they were already kind of involved. Yeah.
It was directed by a guy called Martin Pick. It was the first film he directed.
Is it the last
and
film
last?
he directed?
He's directed 2 other films since then.
Oh, what are they?
They're 2 horror films.
What are they called? You don't know?
One's called Heckle.
Yeah.
The other one I'm not sure. Heckle has Steve Guttenberg in. But out of the 3 films he's done a load of short stuff and adverts, but out of the 3 films he's done, feature-length films, on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, I believe, this is the highest rated.
Oh, that's interesting.
The people at Codex say that this was in the planning for years, but it was actually made in like 14 months, which was really quick
explains
for a
a lot.
70-minute animated film.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a different world, but the production time for like a Disney or a Pixar film is between 4 and 7 years. Codex Pictures say this was in production for a while. They only formed in 2008.
When did this come out?
2010. For years talking about it before they started a company and raised the money.
Do you think that they never finished it? Like, this is like the what got published was they'd run out of money, and this is as far as they could afford to push the visuals without spending a lot more money, and all the rest of it.
I think looking at the cast, I would say the majority of that money went into the cast, right? Terrence Stamp, Sean Pertwee,
I don't think
John
so.
Hurt.
I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is because, like you said, it sounds like a lot of them are just reading it. So I don't think they recorded it a billion times to get it just right.
It's done.
Do you think they were like, here's £500,000, it's like 2 days work?
One day's recording.
One take.
Well, no, it's
Some
70
definitely
minutes.
sounded
So,
like one take.
you know, I think they probably didn't have a lot of time to do all the recording.
Yeah, so it's difficult to find how much money the film made. Domestically, they estimate it brought in $250,000.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Did you say it was $5 million that they cost?
It's
$3 million.
$5.5 million.
5.5. Right.
It was $8.9 million was the estimate budget, which in 2010 was £5.5 million, and then they brought in 250.
So they made a tenth of their money back.
When Codex Pictures was liquidated in 2012, they owed $2.5 million, mostly to the two animation companies that they'd used to make this film. So they didn't quite pay all their bills.
They didn't pay so it wasn't even them that was animating it. Well, that to me does make me think they were like, oh, we just need to stop now. You know.
And in that period,
It's $8 million.
Was they made 250,000.
So they did well.
Now they got sued. All right. So what happened is
By Games Workshop?
no.
Oh, right, that would have been hilarious. Yeah,
Did a copyright strike on their
we
own
wanted
film.
you to make the Imperial Fist less shit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They made an agreement with a larger company called Anchor Bay, who were going to distribute it globally.
Right.
Right. And that was a deal that was signed. And Anchor Bay had given, maybe not directly to Codex Pictures, but another company like an advance on the sales profits from Southern distributing this DVD. Brilliant. But then Codex Pictures decided, we are going to sell a special edition of this directly.
Yeah.
Which is when you got like an ice box and a comic and all that stuff.
It was
Oh
the
yeah,
tin,
came
yeah.
with I saw that came with a 32-page comic.
That, and then they said they forgot about the deal with Anchor Bay. So Anchor Bay sued them, and then not long after that they went out of business.
So to me, that sounds like they weren't going to make any money and thought, if we do this special edition set, at least we can walk away with a few £1,000s.
Which they had no experience in. There was all sorts of production issues with that in typical Games Workshop fashion. Obviously, Games Workshop weren't making it, but they called themselves Codex Pictures. They definitely took that on board. Let's promise something and struggle to make enough of it. Now, stepping away from the film but looking at Codex Pictures more directly, they formed in 2008, they liquidated in 2012. The people that started that company, they keep starting animation companies, doing some projects, liquidating the companies, starting a new company, do some projects, liquidate the company.
Is that how things are done with small companies in that industry? Is that common, or...?
I don't know. I didn't want to go too down the rabbit hole.
I believe it's common in fraud.
So the thing is, if they keep doing it, I mean, someone's got to be funding them.
Well, yeah, because they start a company, they get a load of money from investment companies, they produce something. Maybe some of that $5.5 million was nice salaries for Codex Pictures CEO. Then, we've got now over $2.5 million in debts. We liquidate the company and then we move on. Maybe they thought, you know what, we can make a bit more money, even if it's a breach of contract, that we sell this directly rather than we actually fulfill. And so also this, because of that court case, because of that litigation, it meant that the film wasn't properly released on DVD until 2013, so 2 years after it came out. That's when Anchor Bay finally got to push it out.
Yeah, I do remember that the special edition came out and you could buy... I think you could buy it through GW stores and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was made directly by Codex.
And then, it just disappeared for a while.
Yeah, and that's why.
I got a feeling that you got... they did something with a White Dwarf as well.
Free
Got
copy?
Free copy with a White Dwarf or some shit like that.
That's pretty much the summary of the film. Is there anything you wanted? Okay, so the visuals are not great. While I was watching it, I wasn't even thinking Dawn of War 2. I was thinking Dawn of War 1, which was 2005.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it
2006.
came out after Dawn of War 2.
Yeah.
It was probably made before it.
And I was thinking
But
the cinematics for Dawn of War 1 were better.
Yeah, exactly. That was the big thing at the time. People went, "Oh my god, this looks like
They move really weird.
Like something like I don't know. It's like a late 90s, early noughties computer game sort of visuals where everyone would go, "Oh my god, they look like real faces," and then you look back at it now and you're like, "Dude, yeah, they don't."
The sergeant and the captain are really old. They look so old.
Yeah.
Even the apothecary looks old,
yeah.
but
So let's just talk about the squad a minute.
yeah.
So they're on this battle barge or strike cruiser or whatever, the Space Marines ship, and there's only 10 of them, something like that.
There is 10.
And you've got a captain, an apothecary, a sergeant who's been through some shit, and then everyone else basically kind of gets knighted at the start. They do like a ceremony. You're all Space Marines now. Well done. And they have a duel, and the duel's part of becoming a Space Marine. But it's just like that's not even how Space Marines.
None of them have seen any action. Apart,
no, they're like
rookies.
You're all raw recruits.
Yeah, they're
you're
all raw
rookies, and it's like so they haven't gone through the scout program like all the other Space Marines. So, like this is lore that's been around for a long time. And they just skipped it. Yeah.
What I like about the descriptions, so the characters, so it says Terence Stamp, Captain Severus, brilliant. John Hurt, Chaplain Karnak. Sean Pertwee, Brother Proteus, a strong-willed Ultramarine and probably the most capable leader and soldier who took command after the loss of, spoiler alert, Captain Severus and Sergeant Cruster. Steve Wallington, Brother Veronor, a Space Marine who is always poking holes in stories and quick to point out the logic of every situation. Donald Sumter, who's an apothecary, the oldest member of the squad, and you can tell right by the animation they've gone to town on.
We should all sit down.
When he gets up, he says, "Oh my bones."
Oh my bones.
He has liver spots, and his way of trying to revive everyone is to offer them a Werther's.
Yeah. Come sit on me knee.
Yeah, and then you got another. Yeah, like literally, like you said, that squad is made up of mostly high-ranking or higher-ranking officers than it should be. Right, it should be a captain and a bunch.
Yeah, but there's no. It's just ridiculous. The thing that I find difficult about it is, like I said, Dan Abnett was ill or whatever is the rumor. It's probably true, but I haven't bothered looking into it. But it's like he understands Space Marines. Because this is post-writing Horse Rising and all that, I think, or around the time of it. So it is literally like it feels like they must have gone. Oh, can you just write us a quick story? And he just did it on the back of a fag packet, and then didn't. When they'd come up with the actual script, he just didn't look at it. He had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it does.
That's what it feels like. He's given them a rough idea, and then they've gone. Dan Abnett wrote this, but actually he probably gave them a loose idea of what to make, because it seems like it's been made by a bunch of kids. People that,
just what they've the ranks they've given people. The fact that the apothecary is always like, we should leave. We've got a mission. We're coming to secure this relic. Oh, but I think we should probably go.
It'd be interesting to find out if the guy that made this, the you were talking about, Martin or whatever, whether his earlier horror films were about squads in Vietnam or something, because that's basically what it feels like, a really shit Vietnam film.
Interestingly, it says that they're the Ultima Squad, right, in the film, and then I've just gone and had a look at the lexiconum for the Ultima Squad. And Sergeant Craster's in there, he's the squad leader, and then everyone else is brother this, brother that. There's standard bearer, which makes sense, right? There's none of the other people that are mentioned in that squad, so they've taken some license there and completely rejigged it.
But it's just really weird. Okay, so on to the actual plot. I thought the plot was. Is it better than Prior Nexus?
Yeah, because you can at least understand and follow the story.
I think the actual plot is worse, but the way that it's put across is better. Do you see what I mean? I think the narrative is very, like I said, it's very childlike.
But it's easy to follow.
But
right?
you understand what's going on.
Yeah,
it's not difficult to follow. Whereas in Pariah Nexus, it was just like. But then they're trying to be clever. They were trying to be clever in Pariah Nexus, and it wasn't.
I think Pariah Nexus, compared to this, is you could take a normal person off the street that's never watched Warhammer, they could watch it and understand what's going on. Prior Nexus, you need to know some of the lore before you jump in and watch it.
Yeah, like, who's the good guy?
I think if you took a sample of people, like Family Fortunes, and you made them watch those two things side by side,
they would murder you.
Yeah, but I'm doing it from abroad.
Oh, okay.
And they'd watch,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, that is shit.
That's shit, yeah.
They'd watch Prime Nexus and they'd say, what the fuck have I just watched?
But it looked pretty.
They're not even seeing that because it makes no fucking sense.
It's a bit like shagging Cheryl Cole, right?
They were like, wait a minute, was there an episode that at the beginning we missed, and in the middle we missed, and at the end we missed? Because surely you edited it down with all those title cards and it just...
It'd be like...
all the content.
Do you know what? It'd be like reading a thriller and someone's ripped out the last chapter. Like the bit where they tie it all together, it's gone with Prime Nexus.
But with how short each title is, it's like a little comic strip in the newspaper, but one pane has been removed. One panel has been removed from every story.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
But anyway, Ultramarine movie.
I can't even remember what I was talking about.
The sounds were good. I think the soundtrack was fine for the background of the film. I've listened to it separately. It was
chainsaws sound pretty good.
Boring. Chainsaws sounded good. They've kept things simple, like the enemy. There's no real detail into the enemy.
The enemy were a bit weird. So it's basically like Black Legion.
Yeah.
With some there's like a demon prince or something, but they do look like they've just scanned the models in. You're right. Oh, is it not pointing at me enough?
No, you were equal again on both mics.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I will try and focus my voice.
Double Jim.
I need to sit in a different room when we record this, I think.
I have, the last couple.
Yeah, Dan did, yeah. And also didn't take part in the recording. But they're all just like, all the Chaos Marines are just like, they're like basically corn berserkers. There's a couple of them that shoot, but then most of the time they're literally just running forwards with chain swords or chain axes and pistols. But there's no tactics. They're just like nutters going, and they're just running in going, bah, bah, and the Ultramarines are just like, bang, you're dead, bang, you're dead, bang, you're dead.
I don't think, do any of them actually use pistols? I thought only the cultists.
Yeah, one of the is there cultists in it?
Yeah, there's like, well, it looks. I think there are.
I can't remember any cultists.
I think that there's cultists.
No, I didn't think there was.
Okay.
I can't.
Maybe
remember.
it was Guard then that were the dead human bodies. It was Imperial Guard rather than cultists.
In
because when they find the battleground, the battle that they just stumble upon. So
there
really
might be.
good
Yeah, maybe.
There's like loads of dead humans as well.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't think there's any live ones around. But it doesn't. It's just really weird. It's like there's like a squad of 10 Ultramarines is okay, but like it's meant to be a whole company of Imperial Fists that just get slaughtered.
Yeah, 100 battle.
It's like what must have happened.
100 battle brothers.
Is the Chaos left and just left the shit ones behind? Because that's the only reason. And they're like, this Demon Prince, he got accepted to Demonhood, but he's been one for ages and he's never really done a good job. So we're just going to leave him here. Should we go through the plot?
Yeah.
Like more in depth. So they do their you're all Space Marines now speech, and then they go all of a sudden after that happens straight away they have to go and rescue help the Imperial Fists. So they land on the planet and they've got a Thunderhawk, and they land on the planet, and the cool thing about it is a land speeder pops out, drives out. They've got a land speeder and they drive that out, but then it literally just hovers just off the ground, which I found a bit weird. It doesn't fly, doesn't go up high or anything. But then the bit that was weird is that they've obviously landed away from the site that they're going to, which is in a mountainous region. Probably because there's not any safe place to land in the mountains. But they didn't land at the edge of the mountains. They landed 20 kilometres or more across the flat desert.
Hey, they took a speeder with them.
And they've got a land speeder, which just goes off and then basically never really gets used for much. It's kind of there for plot.
And Sean Pertwee's character is proper sketchy.
But if they hadn't have landed so far away, they would have had to cut out the walk-in, the discovering battleground, and the walk-in scene before they got to the ambush scene.
Do you mean the exposition bit where they were like, they're walking along saying we better explain what's going on?
Well,
but
they don't
just
really go into, that's Bellfire.
They land it. Yes, they land it, and then there's like no. I think the pilot gets out and everything.
Everyone gets out.
There's only 10 of them on this ship.
The only additional character you see on the strike cruiser is like one either Surf or Admech who's attaching the seals. Now I thought when I first watched it, I thought he was just a Surf, but he's reciting to the Space Marine about honouring like the former owners of the battle gear and stuff like that. So maybe he's not just a serf. Maybe he's also like an admech who maintains the gear or something
I
as well.
think this again is the same issue they had in Prior Nexus. They couldn't afford to have too many animated characters.
Yeah. And I think in the director's cut, at the end when the pilot gets off, you hear the beep beep when he locks it up.
So they do this long walk, and then they get to this mountainous area with a weird bridge.
Still loads of dust though.
They get ambushed by 2 Chaos Space Marines.
Plus whoever's shooting from the tower. There's people shooting from the tower, and
Aren't they
there's
up
2...
on the rock face? It's on a rock face.
They got...
So you have suppressing fire from a tower, and then you have 2 Space Marines. Well, 1 Space Marine, I think is the captain, who climbs up the rock face, kills a Chaos Space Marine, and then another one comes up behind him, and then another Space Marine who followed him up comes up and saves him, kills someone else. And then while they're doing that, the rest of the squad are firing up into this tower, and it kind of blows up.
Yeah, because they get to the mountains, and the land speeder's gone ahead.
I was going to say...
And the land speeder crew are both dead.
Yeah, so I was
But
going
they
to
didn't
say...
hear the gunshots of that.
No, you didn't hear the gunshots for that.
And it's just sat there hovering on the floor.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, well, we're not going to get into it and fly up high. We'll just leave it there.
It's kind of like...
And they also, later on, they don't use the land speeder to escape.
No.
Which would have made
That's
sense.
written off now, because it's been tarnished.
Got some blood
Some
on it.
people died in it.
They haven't
They're
done the
like,
course.
the lever's ruined.
They haven't done the course on how to drive it, so they felt they couldn't.
Because they're all raw recruits, aren't they?
Oh, I would
yeah.
have loved if afterwards you had like the 8 of them that are left going back to wherever the pilots landed, and they're all just on the land speed. They're all just like clinging on. You know, like when you see a load of people on like a train in India.
Yeah.
But or they completely 18'd it, right? And it now does loads of extra stuff,
Scraping along the ground.
But the weird thing is, right?
Sparks flying off. They couldn't afford to animate the sparks.
Now this is pod racing.
So they've gone through this battlefield, which doesn't seem to have any defences around it. It's just like they were all in this basin together, this bowl of land, and just fought until they all died.
Because the Imperial Fists are known for building these incredible bastions of defence, and then going out and fighting in an open desert field.
Yeah, that's what they do,
let's be honest, the bastion of defence, that's my point. There's it's literally like this shrine or something that they're protecting. There's a cathedral-like building with a wall around it.
This is what I was going to say.
And it's like, what is it actually? And there's no guns or anything.
No,
and there's
but if you want to attack it, you've got to jump over several progressively longer jumps.
And also, we're 40,000 years in the future, and they've just gone, should we just build a castle on a hill?
Well, they do stuff.
That's how far advanced they
But there's no there's
no gun emplacements.
No gun
Like
emplacements. There's no landing pad. There's nothing.
No, there's no like air defences.
No, but they also don't fly over it to see what it's like before they get there. So, there's literally no tactics involved.
And you just feel like there could have been just a couple of scenes that they put in, and it could have just like got rid of a load of these complaints. Like you could have had them in their Thunderhawk, and they're like, "Oh, the air defences are targeting us. We're going to land further away." And just that throwaway line, you'd be like, okay, this is why they landed so far away.
Or they just say, we need to land this far away so that we don't get attacked, or because we don't know what the defense is like.
We're going to we need to approach on foot because we can't, because they say that they're not getting no response on comms. But it's just like, okay, you approach on foot, fine, but you approach in a very like small formation, just straight at the front. So if this is now held in by enemy, they can see you come in, and you're all kind of lined up. Like one good shot would get through half the squad.
Yeah, basically, that's pretty much what happens, isn't it? It's not quite like that. But well, the other thing is, right, they get to the planet, and they then walk to the site where all the Imperial Fists are dead, but then they don't radio back to their ship and tell them to contact anyone.
Well, there's no one now.
They just leave all the bodies.
They left.
They just leave all the bodies, and then they're like, "Oh well." And at the end, towards the end, they go back to their ship, and they haven't sent any messages to anyone or anything. There's no contact the Imperial Fist chapter master and let them know what's going on. It's like
nothing.
Right.
Nah, be right.
Yeah. So they get to this. They eventually get to this
cathedral,
which is basically a glorified shed with a wall around it, and the bridge towards it has been blown up, but luckily. There's, it is. Trying to think it's like a computer game. It's basically like playing Mario, but you got to jump across the pillars.
I've got to do a run and jump for this one.
Yeah.
It's a bigger gap.
And somehow they all jump across it.
But
Is the apothecary with them, or is he still on the ship?
He's with them, but he's not on the ship. I think it's a couple of them do the jumps, and then they go and open the door from the other side, and then the rest can come in. But the I mean, it makes no sense.
And then they're walking around for ages, and they do that typical thing where it's like it's like in Aliens and all that, where it's jumping from character to character as they're like covering each other. But when you watch it, it's just like they've got there's no tactics involved. They're just like turning and pointing guns in different directions. You know.
However, the running animation is better than the one in Prime Nexus. Because when they do that weird zoom out on Prime Nexus, right, and you see that kind of weird like Rick and Morty intro running across the thing, the one in Space Marine was better. Because it looks good.
So they get into the chapel, the main, whatever the main sanctum is of this cathedral-y type building or whatever it is, this church. It's not a church. And it's loads of pillars with a really high voltage ceiling. It's really dark.
And there's feck all in there.
And there's like literally no furniture, nothing. It's just stone brick. It's not, that's the thing. This place is made out of stones as well. They've not made it in like out of concrete or anything, which is what like the Imperium's like. So it's like, oh well, we'll just we've got this church from World of Warcraft, so we'll use that.
We've already got the asset made,
But anyway, this Chaos Demon Prince, which is literally like they've scanned in the old metal Demon Prince model from 40k, which
gets the drop on them.
Yeah,
from behind.
Yeah, it drops from the shadows, kills like 58 of them, even though there's only 6 of them left by this point. And then the captain. It's just like, it's really weird fighting. Everyone's getting like smashed around and stuff, but no one seems to actually get injured.
Yeah.
And then the captain and the monster fall through a wall.
Yeah.
And they're they're both dead now.
It's very like
the pit.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. They fall off
the game bowl, sort of just through
into
the wall.
the abyss.
But he's like, Sean Peterwee, use the chainsaw.
Which doesn't make sense, right? Because the building they're in is inside the fortification, and all of a sudden there's now like this massive drop.
That was an external facing wall.
Like, so you built this cathedral and you built a wall around it with a big hole in the middle that people can get up inside. I didn't get that. Anyway, so they're like, well, he's dead now. And then
because Space Marines, as we all know, prone to falling over and dying immediately.
Yeah. Well, there's the one just before that when they're being ambushed at the land speeder. There's one of them who sort of says to Sean Peterwee, we need to go and help the captain.
Yeah.
And Sean Peterwee's like, no, the captain told us to stay here. But while they're arguing, he's just standing in the open while there's suppressing fire. And then he gets shot, and it looks like it's through a lung, and then he's dead. And the shot just passes right through him, so it doesn't explode inside his body or anything.
No.
And then that kills him.
But they got the extra bits. That's the whole point, right?
Well, yeah, but this bullet...
Special bullet,
yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, our Space Marines don't have the same bullets as everyone else.
No. So these Space Marines are actually quite fragile.
It's because they were all recruits, and
I was just thinking about the animation.
The armor was made by their mums,
Do you know the little Mii's you used to be able to make on the Nintendo Switch? They were better animations than what this had.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just come to me.
Okay.
Maybe someone should go back to a Wii and recreate this film on a Wii. I would watch that.
I'd recreate it with a flick page.
Oh, that's quite advanced, though, isn't it? I mean, you might be able to...
That would take longer than it took to make the film.
Are you going to do the dust on that?
Can I have someone, when I'm filming it, have someone just blow some smoke? It's like...
Yeah. Just get someone to do one of those like candy floss vapes.
Yeah.
Good to go.
But one of the things that I saw in an interview with... one of the producers was the instruction from Games Workshop concerning the movement and animation. So Codex Pictures, they had some concern about how to portray a Space Marine moving about, given their armor and all that kind of thing. And Games Workshop said, well, actually, Space Marines are like twice the physical fitness levels of an Olympian. So even in that big armor, they'd still be quite agile.
Yeah, well, the armor's designed to help them move better as well.
But
so
for some reason, the armor also makes them walk like they're trying to hold something in their arse
Yeah.
while they're walking.
Like they're training their butt plugs.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. It's the movement of the Space Marines is definitely not the worst thing about the film. So I didn't watch it.
Low.
I didn't watch it and go, they move really weirdly.
Do you know what I find odd? I need to find a picture of this. They had tiny little waists.
And the hands. Do you remember the hands?
So tiny. They had whatever Jeremy Beadle had on both hands.
Big hand for Beano.
Yeah, but the weapons are massive, and they got these tiny little hands. This is my good hand.
Can I wield the Warhammer? Well, not until you grow those hands.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get away
I mean,
around.
I forgot about the hammer.
They weren't even-
yeah. So we should probably get back to the plot. That we were talking
Sorry.
about.
Go on.
So this demon prince, they're just like, well, he's dead. The
Yeah.
captain and the demon prince are dead because they fell off a slight rise.
They don't try and reach him on the box or anything like that.
No, they don't. They don't try and contact him. They don't go and try and find the body. They don't decide to make sure that the thing is dead, even though it could jump from ceilings and stuff like that. So clearly it can't manage a fall. What's this?
It's the tiny little waists.
Oh, right. That actually looks pretty good. That's a screenshot of them stood before they're leaving the ship, isn't it?
Out in the open
Yeah.
with the standard bearer because there's absolutely zero.
They're like
cover on this
silhouetted
planet.
in, like,
Yeah.
you know, the Band of Brothers silhouette in the
Yeah.
starting credits where they're all on the rise.
Mm.
That's what it looks like. Looks actually like it would be an amazing film to watch. So then they're like walking around, and then they find the chaplain first.
Yeah.
They find a chaplain who is played by John Hurt, and he's like, "I'm an old chaplain. Come with me. We're protecting a book." And then there's this Imperial Fist Battle Brother.
He gets very my precious over the book though, right?
The Battle Brothers
Imperial
like,
Fist
don't
Battle
go
Brother.
touching these pages.
Yeah.
These are written by someone, and you never find out what the book's something to do with Dawn or something
This
like that.
book is really impressive, and you can't go touching those pages, all right?
No,
Because
do not turn to page 42.
it's stuck to page 43.
Yeah. So anyway,
Marine
so they
Act.
got this
Woo!
special book, which is a relic, and the two guys that are left, which is it's a veteran brother who's like whose sole purpose in life is to look after this book because he was naughty or something, and then you've got the chaplain whose sole purpose in life is to be John Hurt. And just be the typical sort of
My job is to give some exposition.
yeah.
Not his brother Butthurt.
And they're like, we need to get this book back to
The library.
wherever. They don't actually say where they want
Got
to
a
take it.
25 pence
We need to
fine.
get it off the planet so that the Chaos can't find it. And then the Ultramarines are like, the Chaos are all dead. We killed them. There was like two guys on that hill, and there's this demon thing that's dead.
Oh, I really hope that's true. I'm heavily
And then
invested.
John
in that.
Hurt's like, well, that's okay then. So then they leave, and there's a long walk back to the ship, and occasionally you see a hint of movement in the mountains and stuff. And you're like, oh, wonder what that could be. Could it be the big demon prince that didn't die?
I think it was a rendering glitch.
Yeah. And then they get to their desert wasteland that they've got to walk across for 20 minutes. And they get attacked by chaos. So they'll just stand still and form a ring and shoot out. And there's just these chaos running at them going, "Rah."
That's
But then
normal.
the captain turns up again and saves them.
He didn't die. He didn't die.
Turns out the
everyone.
captain was the one that was following them the whole time. There's a plot twist in a minute.
Always there.
So then they kill everything. I think a couple more of them get shot, like the banner bearer or something.
The one with the flamethrower.
Oh, there's one with a flamethrower, and then the flamethrower blows up and he dies. Yeah.
Standard.
And then
Don't armour the fuel tank.
yeah, and then they get back to the ship, and they didn't pick up the land speeder on the way because why would you take an important piece of kit along with you?
Let's make another one.
Yes, thousands of them on the ship. Yeah. It's people that are
Pilots,
there.
that's the problem.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's only like 3 or 4 of them left by the time they get back to the Thunderhawk.
Yeah.
And then luckily the pilot is clearly one of the people who survived.
Fuck
So then they
that.
fly back, and the apothecary's like, "Oh, some of you are injured," and he goes on about being old or something. And then they go to the room with the they talk to the tech guy, and then they go to the room. The captain goes to the room with the book in it, and the chaplain's being really weird with him, so he kills him. And everyone's like, "Yes," because they're trying to. Oh, that's it. They open the book and it's blank.
Yeah.
And they're saying, "Oh, the chaplain's a heretic," so they kill him. So John Hurt dies, and then turns out Sorry, the chaplain, yeah. And then it turns out, no, actually, it's the captain that's actually the demon prince.
And
then he runs to the big room at the start that they were fighting in, where there's a thunderhammer in a shrine. And
their
he
relic,
starts
isn't it?
trying to do some sort of summoning ritual.
Yeah.
But he's turning into the demon prince as this is happening. And then Sean Pertwee's character and the other characters go in there. They all get beaten up loads. And then...
I was going to say, they do get thrown through quite a lot of walls on this ship.
Yeah.
And yet never breach the hull, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, none of the windows break.
No.
And he manages to break the thunderhammer out of its sealed casket.
Which he was told he wouldn't be able to wield until he was worthy.
Yeah, that's
It's like
probably
Thor's
at the start.
Or King Arthur, the pulling the sword.
But he has to
same
pick
thing.
up with his hands. It doesn't just float towards him. And he ends up like killing the demon prince. And then there's like, oh, well done, lad.
I thought it was
Apothecary,
really
pats him on
weird.
the shoulder. Oh no, is the Apothecary dead?
When he
No.
gets the
The
hammer,
apothecary dies, yeah.
and he just says, he's like, it's hammer time. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, dum. You can't touch this.
So yeah, so that's the plot.
Unless you're worthy.
That's the plot.
But you missed the other bit, right? So after they do that bit, it basically cuts back to the first scene again, except this time Sean Pertwee.
Oh, he's talking to the next lot of 10 guys.
The next load.
He's like, I could tell you the story.
And you, I am not. It's kind of like
I've Alzheimer.
It's like they watched Sharp and took all the bad bits. They didn't. All the really cringe moments.
When he breaks into song and says if he had a hammer, he'd hammer in the morning, and they're like, I want to use hammer. He's like,
But he
"I
doesn't
have
have a
hammers,
hammer."
my
and then
hammer."
they all start doing line dancing. Space
Yeah.
Marines doing line dancing.
And then the book actually turned out to be what to do with your arms.
Yeah, what to do with your arms in the river dance. Part 2 of learning the river dance. Arm movement.
You open it up, someone's just cut a hole in it, and it's just some glue in there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah.
would you recommend watching this film?
I would, if
Yeah.
you are into Warhammer, right?
Yeah, I would.
So if you're into Warhammer and you want a bit of a laugh, and you got some mates that you want to sit down and chill with, or something like that.
Got some good
Yeah.
weed.
Or if you're bored of YouTube doom scrolling and you want to watch something that's got some sort of interesting thing going on with it, yeah, watch it. But don't expect much from it, and you'll enjoy it.
Do you know why I'd recommend it? Because someone has actually written a story, they've animated, they've made it. It's not just other people watching fucking TV. So there is more to it. There is a bit of substance. It's not just watching the reality shit. Married at First Sight, any of that bollocks. It is actually something, and it could be better if they took the story, tweaked it a bit, shortened it, and made it into a really good.
I think actually I would say the same for Prior Nexus. I say if you're a Warhammer fan,
Yeah.
and you've already got the subscription, I wouldn't go out and buy the subscription just to watch it. Or you've got a friend that will let you watch it on their device or whatever. Not that Games Workshop would agree with that, so probably should remove that.
Maybe I should have waited for Sean to get off the toilet before I watched it over his shoulder. But
Yeah. Anyway, that's what we got to talk about for next time. Rebel Moon.
Oh, man.
Rebel Moon. Okay.
Because I've already seen it, and I really want to rant.
Okay.
We'll do it.
All right then. Rebel Moon. So for next one, we need to watch Rebel Moon. Well, we need to wrap our goodbyes up because the store has to open.
True.
Say goodbye, Jim.
Yo, goodbye. That's my rapping.
That was...
You said wrap it up.
Oh, God.
Farewell, listeners.
Why did I
Until next
start
time.
This?
Until we meet again, constant listener.
We'll meet
Scott, if you've got
again.
problems with our show, we don't want to hear it.
Don't know
Amen.
when. This is a historical bit for the people
Yes.
that listen that want historics.
Oh, Don, we talked about historical, so stop complaining.
Yeah, sorry if I cut it out, but
You may need
Boring.
to turn that a little bit up in case, you hear
Can't hear it.
battery's gone funny.
shall I put it on repeat for you, Don?